Formula One heads away from Bahrain and on to Saudi Arabia. It's the Jeddah Corniche circuit for round 2 of the season. So Max Verstappen wins the season opener in Bahrain. Now we move on to Saudi Arabia before 2 weeks' time in Australia. A month off before we return to Baku in Azerbaijan and the first sprint race of the year. Back to back with Miami. 2 weeks, then we go to Emilia-Romagna. Monaco rounds out at the end of May. Spain in June. It's going to be one of the hottest races we've had there. Canada then on the middle of June as well before at the end. We go to Austria. Great Britain for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone on the 9th of July. Hungary and Belgium take us to the summer break. Following Belgium and the summer break, we go to the Netherlands, back-to-back with Italy. Then it's to Singapore, Japan, Qatar, United States, Mexico, Brazil. The first race ever at Las Vegas on the Strip, back, of course, since the 1980s. Then we go to Abu Dhabi to round out the season. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen leads by 7 points to Sergio Perez after their 1-2 in Bahrain. Fernando Alonso is in third position ahead of Carlos Sainz. Lewis Hamilton rounds out the top 5. Then it's Lance Stroll ahead of Russell, Bottas, Gasly, and Alexander Albon completes the point scorers so far. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull lead the way by 20 points to Aston Martin as well, 43-23. Mercedes on 16, clear Ferrari. Alfa Romeo, Alpine in a battle as well with Williams. AlphaTauri, Haas and McLaren yet to score points after a poor weekend in Bahrain. It's first practice here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit for the 2023 Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Let's take a look at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, a 3.836 mile circuit, 27 turns in total, one of the fastest street circuits on the F1 calendar, and it certainly is one of the most difficult to get right. It is a fascinating track. Start the lap then on the run down towards turn number 1. You've got DRS at this point as well. Use it to your maximum. It's a hard braking left turn, 90 degrees. Slam the brakes all the way down. Third gear. Casually hit the throttle before a very tight turn 2 right-hander. Accelerate down through 3. Now it's 4, 5 and 6. The beginning of the sort of Mickey Mouse sections as well. The track now is on itself. It's quite hard to keep a rhythm flowing as well as you're bouncing off towards the barriers as high as you possibly can. Be careful not to exceed the track limits like that there, but the FIA are usually okay with it because it's such a difficult track to get right as well. They don't police it if you're forced off wide. Now into the banking hairpin turn 13, rising in as well. It's just a little bit of degree of banking, but it's amazing to get an overtake there. Hurtle down out towards 7th gear as well. Back up towards one of the tightest chicanes on the track. Slam on the brakes down to 4th gear, flip the car into the right, then the left as you're casually accelerating, opening up your DRS once more as you hurtle down. This is the most dangerous part of the track. It's a blind entry to the corner. This is where Schumacher crashed back in 2021, causing the red flag. Flick the car in, pit stays, then bang on the throttle. Now you're flat out all the way down, turns 25, 26 as well. Flat out with the DRS. Of course, Leclerc and Verstappen playing chicken. Hamilton and Verstappen making contact. It's a famous part of the track. Hurtle down then. Slam on the brakes, playing the DRS chicken, 3rd gear corner through turn 27, flat out now, 5th gear, 6th gear, 7th gear with the DRS open. You reach 8th gear as you cross the line now, and that is a lap of the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Maybe if I turn my mic up, that might work. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2023 Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. And the first practice session is moments away from us here, and this is going to be absolutely fantastic. This Jeddah Corniche circuit has so far provided us with exciting racing as well. 2021, Hamilton versus Verstappen, multiple crashes. 2022 was Verstappen versus Leclerc as well. It was just all-out drama. It's the third time we've visited this circuit within 18 months. And it also means that we're going to have, hopefully, a lot more of an interesting situation going on. Max Verstappen comes here as the championship leader as well, which I always find very entertaining because he has led the championship now for, I think, over a year and a half, which is a really bizarre situation to think about as well. Tom Dillon and Nathan Richards are going to be joining me in the commentary box for the first session shortly as well. It gets underway in around about 4 minutes as well. I think Nathan Richie might just be a bit late, but Tom will be here as well. But there's a load to talk about. Breaking news this morning, though, was that Lewis Hamilton has parted company with his personal trainer of 7 years, Angela Cullen. Angela has left the Mercedes team and Lewis Hamilton to pursue her dreams, as to what Lewis Hamilton said as well, further on in her career. We wish her the best, but it's another blow for Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes as well, losing more and more key personnel. There was a joke that went around on Twitter the other day saying, who's got fired now then? Because Lewis was posting a shirtless pic, and every time he does that, somebody ends up fired. Turns out not fired, left as well to pursue other opportunities. But we wish Angela her best, and we'll get information on who's replacing her shortly as well. But we are all set to go. The first practice session here at Jeddah. The track map is incredibly annoying, believe it or not, because it is such a long circuit here. It's the second longest of the year. We're actually having a bit of difficulty getting it on the screen as things stand. So while we try and manipulate the driver tracker into actually wanting to help us out a little bit and let us actually see some of the data on the screen, I'm just going to say, turning off we all live in a yellow submarine because it's annoying me. The driver tracker then here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. I think we've just about done it as well, actually, so we'll see how that works out later on. If we press button 9, you'll get to see what I mean. Look, do you see what I mean? It's massive, absolutely massive. So we're going to have to do some technical adjustments on that as well going into the session. But don't worry, we have a backup one that will plumb on as well. And then the session goes on for an hour. It'll end at 2:30 local time as well, 2:30 GMT time as well. So we'll get that started. You can see the countdown, 7 minutes until we are on air for that one. And who's just joined the commentary box? It's Tom. Hello, Tom. Good morning to you. You okay?
I'm okay, thank you, Josh. Hello, happy to be here. I'm excited for this weekend. Saudi Arabia is a wonderful, wonderful circuit, isn't it? You can say, well, you know, maybe we shouldn't be here, but at the end of the day, it's a good circuit. I enjoy it, and I think the racing is going to be superb.
Indeed, and if all goes to plan, hopefully you won't be needed to take over on Sunday in the commentary box as well, which is looking good if all goes to plan. But you've got karting, haven't you? So this is your only session you're doing with us so far this weekend. But and then we've got the IMSA race and the WEC race, of course, the season opener there. So you're looking forward to a busy weekend as always.
I'm going to be watching all of WEC this afternoon, and obviously IMSA tomorrow, which is why I'm afraid I've had to pull out of practice 2 to maybe practice 3. But I'm glad you're managing. I'm very excited for that. Qualifying last night for that race was superb. It is incredibly entertaining. And Discovery Plus is free this year on Sky, so I'm getting to watch it ad-free for the first time.
I know, it's so tempting. I love it. I love that what they've done. I love how they've done it as well. We're getting ready then and all set for this action to get underway here. It is time for the first practice session then from the Jeddah Corniche circuit. And don't forget, if you're on Sky F1, you can also ride on board with all 20 cars And if you're on F1 TV as well, you can sync up the coverage. We've got the timer ticker in operation as well. And we'll be getting all set for action as well as the tension music begins to go in the background. Will Max Verstappen keep his championship lead? He's not feeling too well. It seems to be going around. He's looking okay. He's made it to the circuit. He's drugged up on antibiotics today, but he'll be okay for tomorrow. It's time then for first practice. We're back for the third time in 18 months. We're at the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia. They describe this place as the fastest street circuit in the world. 27 turns in total. You can certainly see why. First practice then is getting underway for round 2 of the 2023 Formula 1 season. We crisscross the globe 23 times as well. So many exciting races. That's our second of 4 races in the Middle East though. And this track is awesome. 6.174 kilometers, that's 3.837 miles. 72% of the lap is spent at full throttle. 3 DRS zones as well. Elevation change is flat at 2.48 meters. 207.9 mile per hour is the top speed. With this being a street circuit as well, Pirelli bring the middle to soft tyre range. It's the C2 for the hard, it's the C3 for the medium, and the C4 for the soft tyres as well. A step up from what last year was as the track continues to age as well, so it gets higher in grip, higher in stress as we look. And difference to conditions as well. Beautiful blue sunny skies alongside a beautiful blue sea. You can just about see the desert on the outside, but we are in Jeddah, we are in Saudi Arabia, a desert country, but boy oh boy, Tom, doesn't it feel like we're in the middle of a city of Las Vegas? It's a wonderful setting here in Saudi Arabia. Oh, I can't hear Tom.
Again,
yeah.
I forget that I now have 2 mute buttons, Josh. But yes, I was saying that I was saying that yeah, they know how to put on a show in Saudi Arabia, don't they? And Jeddah is always a wonderful event. I mean, they have the drone shows, they have everything like that. The circuit looks wonderful when it's lit up. It's not lit up yet. Of course, it's in the afternoon over there in Jeddah, and well, you know, it's looking very good.
It is indeed, and we're just adjusting at the moment the graphics on the screen as well because they're annoying me in terms of all the systems as well, trying to get everything sorted and everything looking good. There we go. I told you we'll get the driver tracker organised. Alterations have been made to the Jeddah Corniche circuit to increase safety and improve visibility with the addition of rumble lines as well, beveled curves, reprofiled walls, and the relocation of the 3rd DRS zone as well. They've just tried to tighten it up because, of course, the first 2 times we're here, it was 3 months between the 2 races and not much was changed, and the track was incredibly dangerous. Walls were too close, blind parts of the circuits, resulting in loads of accidents. Here, however, Tom, it all looks now it's finally just been sort of okayed a little bit, and everything just like it's a little bit safer to be here, unless we get missiles like we did last year.
Yes, I hope not. But I heard there was a drone strike on something close by last week, I think it was. So hopefully that we stay away from that. But anyway, I quite like the track. I thought, you know, I'm of the opinion very much so when it comes to, you know, thinking about racing at well, I would love to see a Formula 1 race at Road America, for example. But tracks like that and Bathurst was what I was talking about the other day. I think that actually there comes a point where you've just got to trust the drivers, and I don't think Jeddah overstepped the mark. Obviously, Bathurst is a very extreme example. I was driving a bit of it on the sim, and it is unsafe for Formula 1 cars. But I would quite like, my point is to see the FIA put trust into the drivers and, you know, stop thinking about safety so much when it comes to the tracks, because we're missing out on so much.
We really are, as the green light's going to go on in 44 seconds time. We're just trying to get access to the race control messages at the moment. Lewis Hamilton, today is the 10th anniversary of Hamilton's race debut for Mercedes in the 2013 Australian Grand Prix as well. A race, actually, he retired from to save the car. So he did that twice, actually, as well. So you always know how to wake up there, don't you, as they come through. For some reason, the graphics are still saying the Bahrain Grand Prix on the F1 website, but we can assure you it is the STC Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Green light in 10 seconds for the first hour of practice. De Vries is ready at the end of the pit lane, and away we go for practice one here in Saudi Arabia. And the cars head out onto the circuit as well, and practice already underway. Let's see how quick they're going to be then, Tom, out there, as Lando Norris looks like he's going to do a practice start already.
Well, get it in nice and early. It's a bit of a surprise, actually, because the tyres take a while to heat up in the new, well, I say new, 2-year-old now, but 20-inch rims or whatever the size exactly is. So it's a bit surprising to see practice starts this early on, unless they're expecting the tyres to be very cold come race day. But Nick De Vries, first man out onto the circuit, and well, alongside him is Valtteri Bottas. I think they're the only two who have taken to the track at the moment. But it's always nice to see this circuit in the day, because in the night you see a lot of the surroundings sort of occluded, but the wonderful skyscrapers and sidelining seaside area of Jeddah.
I'll tell you one thing, I prefer it in the day. I don't know why we don't run the race at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock as well, because it is a beautiful circuit in the day with the buildings and the skyline as well. Yes, it's fantastic under the lights, but in the daytime, it's just got such a strange feeling about it. It does look great in daytime, I do agree with you. We see it in practice 1 and practice 3, and I think also we'll see it in the feature race for F2. But when everything goes dark under the lights, well, it's just like it's less impressive for the circuit. I don't know what it is.
No, but at the end of the day, it looks nice in the day. So it's nice that we get to see the F2 races and the F3 racing.
Let's have a look at Sergio Perez coming out of the pit lane. What's he done? Did he manage to get out of the pit lane? No, he didn't. The pit lane is too small for the Red Bull. They had to push him back. And they complained about this actually in 2021. The fact is that the turning circle for the pit lane here is so small. We had that problem in Melbourne before they redid the pit lane. And I think they've just got that a little bit wrong there, Red Bull, who are the first team in the pit lane as they come in. And the pit lane just sort of go in a Y shape, so just sort of get bigger and bigger as it goes on. But surprise there, very much there for Perez.
The fast lane is about a car length, a car width and a quarter, which I don't think perhaps is enough. They don't have mandated
should be
fast
two
lanes in tracks.
Yeah, it should be two legs, shouldn't it?
I think 2 lengths might be a bit extreme, but at least a length and a half. I mean, you could do with a bit more room on the right-hand side, and you don't want to have to. I mean, there comes a point where you have to turn so early that you can actually clip the back tyres with the garage, which you don't want to do. So I don't know. It seems like a silly thing to have a debate over, actually, in F1.
I agree with you there, it does, doesn't it? Let's get out to the pit lane. Karun Chandhok's there for us.
Good afternoon, everyone up in the commentary box and listening at home as well. I'm standing in front of the reigning world champions pit garage. You can see Max standing on the right there, looking pretty chilled. As you guys were talking about before the show, he had a bit of an upset stomach and came to Jeddah a day late, but he's fit and healthy to go. He's looking pretty relaxed, and I think that's because what we have to remember, of course, this is a street circuit, so he's letting everyone else go out on track and clean it up for him. He's not a driver who is new to this place, and he will get up to speed pretty quickly, as Max does. Want to just point out a couple more things here in the pit lane. So the circuit at the moment is at 42 degrees. It peaked at 48, but it's already started coming down. Now, the next session is the most important because in terms of temperature, it's the most relevant. It'll drop another 10 degrees, the Pirelli engineers just say, ahead of the next session. Popping next to Ferrari, both cars have gone out on track early on. But interestingly, they were doing quite a few front wing swaps on Carlos Sainz's car, and maybe Bernie, this is something you can shed a bit of light on, but it looked like they were just making sure that the new front wings that have come from the factory, although they look the same and are the same specification, They layer the carbon, of course, in different ways. They have different weights in them as well for the weight distribution. And it looked like the mechanics were just making sure that these new front wings that have come out fit onto the car nicely.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Karun. We will.
Thanks, Karun. Chandlock there as well. As Magnussen goes third, Perez, however, is on an absolute flyer at the moment as well. So we'll keep an eye on him as the sessions continue to tick on here in the first practice session of the weekend. And welcome to the commentary box as well. We've got hold of Richie, Nathan Richardson. Hello, Richie. You all right?
No, I'm not, because everything that's managed to go wrong has gone wrong. So
Oh, no.
first of all, I went to the shop. I thought, right, I'm cutting this tight. Got to the shop, the card machine wouldn't work, so I spent about 10 minutes doing that. Got home, I had a bottle of drink, opened the drink, and it went everywhere.
Oh, no.
So everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. But apart from that, I'm fine and excited for the weekend.
Very much excited to have you as well. As you see a replay on the screen of Perez just going a bit slow and over the same rumble curb down at turn 22 that we saw a load of problems with recently. There we go. Let's get this back up on the main cameras. There we go. And we've got everyone sorted. And yeah, Perez, though, I think Tom's got a great shot this weekend of taking the race win, with Max not exactly being 100% of the car with food well, they think it's food poisoning. An upset stomach was the actual saying, wasn't it? He stands a mighty good chance of getting a race win.
I think it's going to be a difficult one, because an upset stomach, particularly food poisoning, doesn't take too long to get over. I mean, we've still got 2 days until the race. Verstappen probably will be well and truly off.
Yeah.
Information they get out of this session, but apart from that, that he'll be okay. But Perez was on pole last year, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah, pole last year, yeah.
And well, you know, we know he likes the street circuits. It could be his day. I mean, level the championship, maybe.
Richie, what about this man, Fernando Alonso, third in the Grand Prix in Bahrain as well, pushed everything he could out of that car, and Red Bull even the same themselves at this circuit. They're expecting the competition to be a little bit closer to them, considering Bahrain had pre-season testing out. Alonso was the star as well of Bahrain. Do you reckon he could take an unlikely win here already, or is it too early for the Aston hype?
I think it's too early to call anything in general. We haven't seen the cars on track proper, and just because the Aston Martin was probably the third quickest car last weekend, it could mean it's the quickest car here or the fifth slowest. You know, you don't know. So I think with the driver like Alonso, it's more than possible, because he's been in Formula 1 long enough, and he's one of them you like to take the risk. Same as Max, hence the 2021 Jeddah lap. So I think if it's anyone, I think Max and Alonso probably had the higher chance in terms of the risks they'll take. But with Max not being 100%, I don't know if that really affects him, because he wasn't 100% in 2021 Saudi Arabia. He was quite ill then, but still managed to drive pretty well. So we don't know. Checo, he's good around street circuits. We've seen him last year, Monaco and Singapore, great drives. So, and Leclerc, I don't think it's going to be possible at all due to the engine penalty. Sainz, I'm not too sure, and then I think Mercedes are probably out of it.
Perez just got faster still, but Leclerc's just got P2 on a 1:33.124. I do agree with you as well. It's a different type of weekend we've got to look forward to here in a different situation. This is Carlos Sainz having a little bit of a moment at the back half of the track. I think the car there that he was trying to overtake was Yuki Tsunoda, if I'm basing my driver tracker info correct up here. Let's hear it. He didn't get out of the way. That was dangerous, Sainz says on the radio as well. It certainly was a bit too dangerous there. I hope everybody can see the driver tracker names okay. Let us know, because we have got it's in a different location at the moment as well. Let's have a look. Afternoon, guys, says Omi as well. Now, he's going to be joining us in the commentary box actually with Jess in free practice number 3.
Who?
So Omi, who works with us at PSGL as well. Yeah, he's going to be joining us for FP3. Dima says, hello Joshua, do you know the safety changes in Jeddah coming each second? Yes, we just went through them. I didn't know them when you commented last night. I was going to text you about it, but then I got the notes as well. They've done a whole load of changes to this circuit, and we're waiting for final confirmation of what has changed. 100% yesterday, I had commentary on the map and was a pain due to the size. Yeah, it's a nightmare. The
Fernando
map.
Alonso quickest.
Oh, wow. 132.838 for Fernando, and that's on the soft compound tyres. That's the C4. And Sargent goes into 5th on the mediums on the C3. And, well, this is getting good. Aston are quick. They're all going for it, Richie, immediately. I thought they might back off and wait, but they're all really
Hamilton.
good for it. Oh, 3 tenths up.
3 tenths off.
Wow, we'll get to the chat in a second. This is great, Richie.
It is. It'd be nice if it was like this in qualifying, because if they're all on the soft, it's going to be even closer. This is going to be... I think it's going to be very close. I think, like, you know, when it comes to the straights, it doesn't come to much skill, does it, compared to some tracks like Bahrain. There's a lot of corners here. There's a lot of straights. So there's more skill when it comes to the fewer corners, but in general, you can gain lots of time just by knowing how to drive in a straight line.
And Lewis has gone top, a 132.665. So Lewis Hamilton is the fastest man on the track at the moment. Absolutely amazing job there. So the W14 seems to be working well at this early stage of the session. He's a 10th up on Fernando Alonso's time. Now, let's just quickly... Go on, Richie.
I was going to say, I've noticed, have Alfa Romeo changed their logo on the timing boards? I swear it was black.
I think they have,
before.
yeah. I saw something changed from the times, and I think yesterday I spotted the Alpha was different. So I think they have changed it. Right, quickly to the chat. Where did we get up to? Josh T, shall we play a game or watch a video playlist? Well, hello, Josh. You'll be with us in practice too. Jess, who's going to be joining us for the race this weekend as well. Excuse me. Jess is going to be joining us for the race as well and FP3. Listening to a bit of this, watched on during my lunch break, afternoon as well. So Lewis and Angela no more. Yeah, that is official. Angela Cullen has left Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton as a company as well. She wants to pursue other things as well. But after 7 years, Richie, it's a major blow for Lewis to lose yet another key personnel member of the team.
Yeah, she's probably one of the she's definitely one of the probably the top 3 people, isn't she, in that team for Lewis? She's always been there to help him no matter what. So that's definitely, I'd say, also a big surprise.
Yeah.
Because she, like, obviously she might still enjoy some things, but generally she looked like she really enjoyed that role being there at Mercedes.
Perez crosses the line. Does he go faster than Hamilton? Time's waiting. Where is he? Oh, he's not even there yet, so that's an anticlimax across it. As here comes Perez then, in towards turn 27, hard on the brakes, down to 4th gear, flick the car in, push the power down ever so lightly, and they move the wall back just an inch. Now, is Perez fastest? Is he fastest? Is he faster? Yes, he is, by a second to Albon in second. Albon second, 132.575. Albon fastest on the hard compound tyre as well, beating Lewis Hamilton. So it's very early days yet, but it's getting back as well. Just go through the chat. Hello to SHT as well as they come through. And Jess says, I'm going to be left out tomorrow and Sunday with no headset in terms of mics. I thought you had a headset, Jess, as well, but I know you've got your radio style mic that we've got up here in the box as well. Doing the glory runs early, it seems it is. Lewis on hards, but it's only FP1, so let's get out. Don't get ahead of ourselves as SHT. And Josh says, I've got a new plug-in on my stream deck for today. Can easily control Discord user volumes with the press of a button. Fantastic. And Scott says, when you can select what tyres you want for qualifying, it has some surprises and lower teams can get into Q2. I think it's a mistake for them to trial a new qualifying format at some races. So, yeah, if you not know, I agree with you there, Scott. Scott's saying about... for several races this year, they're going to have hard tyres only in Q1, mediums only in Q2, and softs only in Q3. The first of that is going to be at Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Sainz goes second, by the way. So I'll come to you first, Tom, because you're back now with us. Is that right, that they're going to try this qualifying format? I still think it's taken away a bit of the competition.
It's an absurd rule. I mean, something has to be done for the fact that Q2 is basically a dead rubber session right now. I mean, I spoke about this a lot actually last year, the fact that now you don't have that, you have that free tyre choice going on into the race, that Q2 becomes a little bit pointless because obviously it was designed for that free tyre, that selected tyre choice ahead of the full race. But I think it's silly. It just seems so needless to me, and I don't know why we suddenly feel that we need to tinker with something that at the end of the day it's clearly working okay. I mean, if I was going to tinker with it, by the way, Charles Leclerc is right now, we're on board with him on the television feed. He's looking very nervous in that car at the moment, as is George Russell, actually, by the looks of things, as he almost collects one of the Ferraris. That must have been Carlos Sainz, actually. Sainz and Leclerc both out on circuit right now. But anyway, to finish my to finish my point, I think it's Leclerc with the helmet. Yeah, it is Leclerc with the red helmet. To finish my point, I think there's a
2 seconds.
way.
Pushing behind Russell, watch for traffic.
Behind is Russell.
Lawrence Meekis, who's the strategy there, informing Leclerc a bit too late once again that Russell was there. So the Ferrari woes already continuing with not up-to-date information. Continue, Tom.
It feels like it's something that doesn't really need to be tweaked too much. I mean, there's ways you can tweak the Q1, Q2, Q3 format. I'd probably have 2 sessions myself, Q1 and Q2, just half an hour a pop, or even a 40-minute. And I don't know exactly how you do it, but I just think qualifying doesn't need to be incredibly entertaining. We don't need to see a lot of things. At the end of the day, just make it work, and I don't see why we need to tweak it.
Richie, what's your opinion on it all?
I think it's been changed too much. For me, I preferred the old format before. It was before 2022, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where you had to use the tyre in Q2. For me, I preferred that system, but it's just been changed around too much. What's that? In 3 years, it's been making 3 big changes. There's no need, in my opinion. Just keep it the way it was before. It worked fine. We didn't have issues. People moaned, but that's part of the sport.
Speaking of moaning, I remember our conversation in pre-season testing, and Bahrain is Alonso's hype can be believed. He's just on 131.262, gone faster as again by 2/10 on the soft compound tyre. Yeah, Tom, I was going to ask you the question when we were talking about it. You were all sort of saying, don't believe the hype, don't believe the hype. Your reaction after Bahrain with Alonso being in third, did your mood change when watching the race?
No. Not at all. No.
Oh, I thought it might.
No, it hasn't. They've probably got the 3rd or 4th fastest car. I mean, we'll say Mercedes got the 4th fastest car. They've got the 3rd fastest car. Could they get a racer in towards the end of the year? Yeah, maybe. I think that was my stance in Bahrain as well, if we saw them have a strong showing. But at the end of the day, I don't really see the hype. I mean, people are hyping it up way too much. Oh my God, Alonso's back. He's going to fight for the championship. No way.
Megan was certainly happy after round 1 with being third, but she said she won't celebrate until there's a race win. So she's not getting over ahead of ourselves. And at the moment, Megan suffering with a bit of a sore throat, so she's not going to be joining us in the box today. And for other reasons as well, we're going to limit the personal in the commentary box this weekend until everyone is A-OK. And Tom is on standby as well in case I am not A-OK for Sunday. For the main broadcast, and that'll be alongside Josh and Jess, and hopefully Megan if she's here. Megan might come in and take over in this box, I don't know but I think I'll be here. But still, looking through the chat, first of all, Albon's been off track and continued at turn 8. That's a message that came through. Catching up, Jess needs to show the plug-in as well for controlling audio, because actually Jess is right, that'll be handy for us, Richie, wouldn't it, at PSGL. So Josh will have to give us that so we can control the audio volumes. The Little Owl agrees with Scott. I think the new qualifying format is stupid, personally, says Little Owl. I personally like the sprint format. It creates excitement and entertainment in the main point. Sprints, 6 this year. First one coming up at Baku. They're growing on me, but we've got to have them in the right places. Sprints don't work at tracks that don't provide overtaking. Like, it works in Austria, it works at Sao Paulo. I think it might have a chance at working in Baku, because that's pretty much a 50-50, you're going to get a good race or a bad race. But Qatar, it won't work. Kota, it's a push. And I can't remember what the others are, actually thinking of the top. Austria's got one in Sao Paulo. But what do you think about the sprint? Still no, or are you sort of just accepting them at this point, Richie?
To be fair, I do like them, but I think, like you said, it's got to be at the right track. Silverstone's the last one yet. You can't put a sprint at Monaco. You can't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say you can put a sprint at Jeddah. I think it's got to be that perfect track. So Polo, Polo's gone quickest by 6/10. It's going to be somewhere like Sao Paulo, even Silverstone. I think even Spa for me would be a good one as well.
That's the other one, yeah.
But it's a bit of a. I think something that needs working on. I think there's lots of finishing touches that needs doing to the sprint races for them to be even better. But I don't know. I don't know what the actual point of them was, in a way. I know it's providing entertainment, but for real Formula 1 fans, you're there to watch the whole weekend. You shouldn't have to change it up to make it exciting. If you're a Formula 1 fan, you should enjoy whatever practice, qualifying or race sessions on.
Alonso across the line, stays in second position. Yeah, Tom, have your opinions on the sprint changed any more than what we were talking about last season?
No, I hate them. They can be entertaining, you know, but I think it's also an unfair advantage. I should mention to the cars who are faster. I mean, look at Hamilton in Interlagos 2021. Probably, in my opinion, one of the most overrated drives in the history of the sport. He had basically 75%. He had 125% race distance, pretty much, to come from the back in a rocket ship. Yes, it was impressive. Yes, it was a good drive. But that was an unfair advantage in a championship where, you know, there are races where I'm sure Max would have loved to have had a sprint, you know, and an extra 25 laps to try and get himself through the field. I thought it was so unfair. And last year, Kevin Magnussen should have been one of the greatest stories of the year. Kevin Magnussen, can he hold on to his pole position? No, because we had that sprint, and we had that sprint that was almost that inevitability that Kevin Magnussen isn't going to win, because he's got another 125% race, basically a red flag in between two sessions to try and hold off. So the Grand Prix should be the Grand Prix. It should be the event, and you shouldn't have something that detracts from that in the form of a race as well. One of the main things about the race, and I appreciate I'm waffling at this point, but one of my favourite things about a Formula 1 race is that you go from practice and you go from qualifying, you don't know people's race pace.
Yeah.
That's ruined when the sprint race happens, because you see people's race pace. Yes, okay, you don't know hard runs and things like that, but yeah.
That's true. You don't know the hard long runs, but you can sort of guess after practice too, can't you?
I've got one thing about the sprint races, which originally it was sprint qualifying, and it's completely gone out of the qualifying format. It's known as a sprint race.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it takes away the initial form of what it was. It was meant to be a bit of an extra qualifying, something a bit different. But now, it's just not. I think people expected a lot more in terms of the fact it should have been more like a qualifying thing, not a small race, because, you know, like Tom said, it does give advantage to Red Bull, Mercedes, probably those type of teams that can stay at the top. It gives them an extra 8 points if you come first. And if you qualify and pole in a Red Bull or Ferrari, chances are you'll be able to keep it. If not, maybe lose one position, you'll get 7 points. So it's literally it's an advantage for the top teams. Lower down teams are not going to get anything. So just say, for example, I don't know, let's just say Magnussen or Hulkenberg was to get into the top 10 in qualifying and their race pace wasn't good. They'd then have 20-ish laps to then drop down the field and then start in 15th when they started in 10th. It's unfair.
Max fan there with the tag still on the back of the hat there as well, so wonder who gave them that. But yeah, I agree with you. The sprint races, I'm sort of on the fence. Some races are good, some races not, but I'd rather them not be there as well. I'd rather them just not be there and just have the Grand Prix, because I think the Grand Prix is the big one we all go through. Now, the chat has been electric at the moment as well, and we're going to have to go through where we are. This art says, unfortunately, we'll be able to join you for many of these streams, and maybe I'll just get the F2 feature race in. No worries at all, the little hour. We can always repeat later and put some comments in. Alonso's 2.5 tenths up at the moment in second sector, so we'll keep an eye on that. Little says, I personally like the sprint format. It creates excitement and entertainment is the main point. Jess says, the current format is okay as it is. Dimas says, do you know Qatar Airways is a new sponsor of Formula 1, the global pilot? Yes, we do. They've got their logo on the start board now as well, actually, for Qatar Airways. Just more Qatari money coming in to Formula 1 alongside Saudi Arabia. Cross line comes Alonso, goes top. 1:35.09 goes top by 83 thousandths of a second. Little agrees with Jess as well, but I do like the occasional sprint race, Little says. SHT says, I'm currently curious about what Williams' weekend this is going to be, especially for him. Yeah, I am too. Williams looking very quick at these circuits in the opening stage of the season. They were 11th and, what were they, 9th and 12th, with Albon 9th and Sargent 12th last time out at Bahrain, so that's a very good result for them. This hour says, sprints should be at Brazil and Austria and maybe Britain. maybe Bahrain, honestly, I think the Bahrain track is heavily underrated. It is. And I think, just quickly on that, I think last time, Bahrain was a dud 2 weeks ago in many respects because it was an evolution on the cars, not the revolution. So it was all a bit as status quo at the end of last year. So I'm hoping Jeddah will be a bit more entertaining. Of course, we tested there as well, so we pretty much knew what was going to happen.
I think people do need to remember, though, and I think this is a problem with F1 as a whole at the moment. Not every race is going to be entertaining, and there seems to be a quick jump from we've had one boring race at a track versus that track is now a bad track. I mean, Paul Ricard, for example, is not, I don't like the track, but you know, it's not necessarily a horrific track because we had one boring race in 2019 and you know, a bit of a boring race in 2020 or whatever. You know, there's so many variables to it that races are just going to be boring. To be honest with you, I like that because Bahrain was an interesting contest for the podium and things. And sometimes you have a snooze fest. It happens in any sport, and I don't think F1 should necessarily seek to limit that.
Yeah, I agree as well. We're always going to have the non-entertaining races compared to the entertaining ones as well. I mean, last year we had Max Verstappen run away 17 times, but still some of them we had some exciting races out in the 23. I was trying to think what was my favourite race last year, and I keep going back to Silverstone because it was quite dramatic, it was quite fun. But I did actually like Monaco. It's a really weird one to say, but Monaco was great. Wet race. Everything was on edge. Verstappen's on edge, coming through turn 22, 23, riding the sausage curbs as well as he's fastest in the middle sector at the moment as well as he gets up to speed. Wasn't here for media day yesterday due to a stomach upset. Still feeling the after effects today. No needle policy, but he is on some medication just to make sure. And a little bit of a twitch coming to the last corner as well.
Well, we saw that moment in 2021. Obviously, it meant a lot more than this practice session. But one thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I think Formula One, it used to be, I'd probably say, you know, in the noughties and the 90s and the 80s, it used to be a racing motorsport. Now, it's an entertainment show, and it ruins it. And I don't like it because F1 are suiting now more to the newer fans. I wouldn't necessarily just the newer fans, but in general, a lot of the newer fans are there just for the entertainment value.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's always about that. You know what I mean? I think F1's just shifting more and more to making it boring for real Formula One racing fans. And that's what I don't like.
Yeah, it is getting a bit like, it's getting a bit too dull now, getting a bit too boring. And tell you what, guys, I'm very impressed there. Half the session gone. This is our first ad break. I think, I think Sky are trialling something here where they only show one ad break per practice, which I'll take. It's down from the usual 3.
I just wanted to actually say something quickly about the Speaking Motorsport that isn't there for the entertainment. The 12 Hours of Sebring qualifying is on right now. And Ben Keating, I just wanted to give a quick shout out, number 52, LMP2. He's just gone pole position less than 24 hours after he was out there on the WEC field. 2 hours before he's supposed to race WEC, setting pole in LMP2 after he went second in a GTE AMCAR yesterday.
That is impressive.
Pole positions.
The greatest bronze driver to ever do it, Ben Keating.
He's so fun, Ben Keating. Absolutely is as well. We've got the pit lane channel up in the commentary box. We're seeing Verstappen again. Verstappen said, turn 22, there's a lot of understeer, like it doesn't turn at all, and okay understood was there. And he kicked up a lot of dust, actually, just looking on the pit lane channel. Got some great news, is that we're going to have another screen up here in the commentary box, hopefully soon as well, which I'm sure Josh will be happy about. It's the data screen he sent us in Bahrain with all the other information. But also, we'll have a few more onboards available, so another laptop screen will be added to the commentary box, taking us up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screens in the commentary box.
Also, Josh, I've got one question for Jess, which you probably have the same question. Is Jess, when is it time for me, Josh, to go to PCF1?
Yeah, I mean, Richie, I must admit. Yeah, Richie, by the way, congratulations on making your F1 debut, standing in very, very last second for George Morgan after he's had a couple of computer failures. Amazing commentary on the F1, Richie. Worked really well with Jack as well. You did not look out of place at all, mate. It was fantastic. How did it feel? Because I would have been shaking.
Well, obviously, I put the message in the chat saying, did anyone step in? And obviously they did. got into the lobby and I thought, and then I was shaking. I was thinking, oh god, this is, what I'm in the lobby with Barry Burman,
Yeah.
Thomas Ronhar, Jake Benn, and this is, and I was shaking like hell. I was nervous, thinking I've got to go into a commentary box with someone I've never even spoken to Jack beforehand ever. So
yeah, you've
I
got to
was
go
quite
like
worried.
that, yeah.
I knew nothing about the championship, nothing about the points, previous races, any of that. I know nothing about Mexico because I absolutely hate the track. So it was nerve-wracking, but it went well. Once you get into that rhythm, you can kind of just
Yeah.
settle in.
Yeah,
But
I think we're
Thanks, but it went well. But yeah, it was great. And having 3 minutes of preparation wasn't ideal.
I'm just trying to load the chat up. The chat's going. I agree with Josh. Nathan did a really good job with the love heart, says Jess as well. Yeah, I mean, Jess. I think me and Richie both agree. We're happy to step in if George and Jack ever want a break.
If the PC.
Yeah, but I think actually, me and you did say, didn't we, Richie, that for now we're happy to stay in F2 until all the issues with the games are sorted out, because otherwise we're not going to have any work to do. Let's see if it happens.
Turn 22 is a lot of unders here. Like, it does turn it all. Okay, understood.
Oh, that's what he said earlier.
Yeah, that's the message
lots of
he got
dots.
to earlier.
Can I quickly respond to what the little owl has put in
Yeah,
the
sure.
YouTube chat? So, has asked, has anyone thought that IndyCar should hold a Sebring race? I would love IndyCar to hold a Sebring race as Max Verstappen goes across the line. This should be fastest of the day, and it is. Beats his current fastest time, 1:30.0. 4 tenths faster, 5 tenths faster make that than Fernando Alonso. Just about. George Russell's also improving. But yes, IndyCar Sebring. Yes, I'd love to see it, but you saw yesterday how much the LMP2 cars bounce around. An IndyCar suspension, I don't think would be able to handle the pressure of Sebring. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, that would just be a recipe for disaster, and the drivers as well. You don't want to do it.
It's massively it's horrible. It's a horrible surface, and they're not going to repave it because it's so historic there. So.
You can't repave it because that's the only thing that makes the track good.
Yeah, it's the only thing. So they've got to leave it as it is. Verstappen's gone top, by the way, 1:30.062, 4 tenths quicker than Alonso. Jess has been put in as well. PCF1 is not up to me. Connor sorts out the PCF1 commentators. I sort out the rest, but I can recommend people, obviously. But she knows we're only joking as well. We're not going to kick George and Jack, but we do mean when we say if they're ever not available, then we will just step in immediately and very happily.
Maybe George and Jack's PCs will just break out of nowhere next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Definitely not up to me.
George's microphone cable wakes up one morning, it's just been cut. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely not us.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was all fine though. We're all ready to go. Jess says, I would have been nervous throughout the whole broadcast, not going to lie, if I was in Nathan's shoes as well. And Tom, also, you just put in the chat, I'll be honest, I follow IndyCar, but not every single race, so I must have watched that one. But see if things very extreme with the bumps. You don't follow every race, Tom, but you will be in the commentary box for the next 2 races, leading the coverage as well, while I am there. Oh, and he's gone off for turn 2.
Turn 1.
Yeah.
But Josh, talking about IndyCar, I remember the first, because obviously I'm not really into IndyCar that much, I don't find it as interesting. And I remember I stepped in with you for, I think it was the Indianapolis 100, and that was amazing, wasn't it? I think that was one of the best races I've watched in general.
Cracking race.
It was when it went wet, dry. It was absolutely. And wasn't that the one that Marcus Ericsson won?
No, that was it was the road course one. It was a week before the 500 started and all that. Yeah, but I remember that one. Yeah, the wet race, and everyone was all over the place screaming. That was an amazing race, Richie, to make your IndyCar debut on.
It was.
IndyCar was really good to watch. Yeah, said Jess, and hopefully Jess as well will grab you on for one this year. I can't remember who just spoke. Was it you, Tom? You're looking like you want to say something. Yeah.
I was going to say, talking about safety, I'm a bit hypocritical because I'd really love. I'd really love to go back to Pocono. I love Pocono.
I love Pocono so much. I know it's dangerous to do so, but Pocono was such a good race. And Fontana as well. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss Fontana. I know it's been off the
first oval race I watched.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was. No. The Indy 500 would have been the first oval race I watched, but it was the first regular season IndyCar race I watched. Pocono, I think 2019, and Takuma Sato had that massive flip crash. And I just thought, this is incredible. I love Pocono.
Just quickly, go on.
gonna say, speaking about different tracks, obviously I normally only work with F1 and I'm only interested in like F1 and GT.
Yeah.
So obviously there's lots of other tracks like the IndyCar tracks that Formula 1 and GT never touch. So for you and Tom, what are your favourite tracks ever in general? Not just F1, not just GT3, but ever for any racing series.
Le Mans.
Oh, straight out. I knew that was coming. I thought he's
Really,
gonna go.
Josh?
He's gonna go WEC, isn't he? Me, favourite track ever. Oh God.
You've been around a lot longer than me and Tom, so there's probably more to choose from as well.
Verstappen does a 1:29.815 to deflect. He's gone fastest by 6 tenths of Alonso. Favourite track ever? I've done so many circuits that I really enjoy across F1, MotoGP, everything. I really liked Sepang. I miss Malaysia so much. It was one of my favourite circuits on the calendar. Austria. Now when I was a lad, it was the A1 ring as well. The same layout, but it was called the A1 ring for
I've
Austria.
driven that on Assetto Corsa. They used to have not Assetto Corsa, Automobilista it was. They also had another layout where it went further out into the forest.
Yeah, the old Österreich ring was that one. Yeah, as then it became the A1 ring. Now it's the Red Bull ring. But I loved Austria so much because it was the scene of 2001, 4 cars stalling on the line. As well, and Coulthard won the race. Barrichello let Schumacher through at the line. And then the next year, did it again. This time for the win. Barrichello let Schumacher through. It was a carbon copy. So to me, that race stuck with me a lot. And also in 2002, Heidfeld had a rear brake failure, slid up the inside towards turn 3 at the top of the hill, and hit the side of Takuma Sato right bang side on. Missed Montoya by inches, little inches. If you've seen the clip of Valentino Rossi and Franco Morbidelli avoiding the bike flying through at Austria a couple of years ago, it was exactly the same as that, but F1 did it first. Honestly, it was horrific. Sato luckily to survive that one. I mean, we all thought he was dead because it was a very hard side on impact, but he survived and of course now double Indy 500 winner. So I think when that went off the circuit, I was always chomping at the bit for that to come back on. Came back on in 2014 and I absolutely love it. I think it's one of my favourite circuits, and it's just been extended, the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring, until 2027 in a new contract. I'm going to have to interrupt for a second because James Fowles on the pit wall.
Having on your cars, and how's the session gone for you so far? Oh, I hope James is there.
Oh, well, he's not hearing us now.
No.
Yeah. James Fowles.
I think we'll try James again in just James, can you hear us up here in commentary?
James, it's Josh.
I think that's a no. I think we'll sort that one out. We'll go back to
yeah.
Also,
I couldn't resist
quickly
it.
in the chat.
Yeah.
Jess says, what do you think about Leclerc already having 10 plates grid pounds for using another control electronic power unit components? I think it's classic Ferrari, but one thing I've noticed recently, I've seen people saying like the internet, oh, it's not fair, the rule's stupid, people shouldn't be getting all those penalties for, that the engine uses. But I think at the end of the day, people don't moan about it when it's at the end of the season, and I think at the end of the day, the rule still stands. If you're using components in race 2, you deserve the penalty. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to say, oh, it's only race 2, it's stupid, we should let it off and stuff like that. Because if it's at the end of the season, people don't seem to care.
Yeah,
I'm going to use my favourite phrase here.
Go on.
It is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, that rule is there for a reason. That rule is there so that you can't have 23 different engines throughout the course of the season. Because if they could, they would. To be honest with you, I think about the cost cap, and I think, okay, maybe we can relax that rule. I forget, was it last year that this point came up? Actually, we were talking about this. But, yeah, maybe unrestrict it. Say whatever works in the cost cap works for you. That would also encourage the teams to make engines as cheaply as possible. But at the moment, the rule is there. We know why the rule is there, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. Charles Leclerc has got a 10 place grid penalty because he's got a 10 place grid penalty. But in terms of tracks, also I want to add Sebring, Le Mans and Sebring probably too. Sebring isn't a great circuit, but in terms of the history and the bumps, I do tend to find myself loving it. There's a lot to say about Daytona as well, but in terms of one more question for the floor. I'll start with one myself. But American tracks, or just tracks in general, that haven't been on the F1 calendar, at least to my knowledge, before, but should be, because I'm going to go with Road America.
Yeah, I was going to go Road America. I was going to say that it was right on my lips there, Road America. Mid-Ohio, I think, would also be another one that would be quite entertaining to watch. Oh, and Stroll's got off the track, and he's on the radio.
James, it's Damon here. You've only had a little while to get your feet under the
Damon.
table at Williams, but is there anything you've had an influence on? Is there something that's jumped out at you that you feel you can make rapid gains in a certain direction?
There's a few things hopefully I've brought to the party, but the main gains are not going to be around a test or a race or multiple races. They'll be year on year as we step forward. The team obviously had done huge amounts of work across the winter to produce the car it had. The balance just needed to get a little bit more together and a little bit of guidance on that. Really where I've sort of hopefully come in is just open the eyes a little bit more to where we can move forward as an organisation, where there are areas that are missing, both trackside and at the factory, and some of those have already kicked in. There's a few bits of low-hanging fruit, but obviously the majority will take months to years really to properly bear fruit.
Okay, well, that was there, but I just want to come up. Hamilton saying on the radio he's struggling for grip at the moment as well, and that was on the radio. And just now, Brad, hello Brad, says, "Hi Josh, how disappointing are the gaps between the teams? Mighty disappointing. Mightily disappointing, Brad, and nice to see you again, by the way, for another season." Yeah, I don't like the gaps between the teams, it's too much. And I know Red Bull later on in the year, when they run out of their Euro time, they'll struggle there, but right now it's just like we've got to just sort of drag ourselves on with the season, haven't we? Because Red Bull looked so dominant.
There's a phrase I use for this, Josh.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
See, I think Red Bull aren't going to be that strong all the time.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
going to
there'll
be
be tracks where they
yeah.
struggle.
Monaco.
Because I still don't get how they were so quick in Bahrain. They was told to go 7/10 a lap slower. So the gap could have been over 40 seconds between
It's weird.
the gap could have been over 50 seconds between Max and Alonso. So that car was on absolutely something different. So I don't think we'll see them that strong again. I think that's probably their strong. I know it's only race one, but I can't see them being stronger anywhere else with that much.
Yeah.
Just pure dominance. It was like racing an F1 and an F2 car.
It was at the same time, wasn't it? Yeah. No safety cars in Bahrain. No rain. No nothing. Do you reckon that if we have a safety car and the cars fall into the mid-pack, they'll struggle to overtake, like we saw with Mercedes?
That's a historical issue with Red Bull, isn't
Yeah.
it? Where Vettel used to struggle back in his dominance era when they were put into traffic. Red Bull did typically used to design their cars so that they were lightning fast. It's
currently thinking about half a second, so 0.5.
But they were lightning fast out of in the clean air, and then struggled a little bit trying to get through traffic. So maybe it's easy to follow in these cars. So
Lando's having problems out there. I think the car's having an issue. Go on, Tom. Yeah.
But I suppose maybe they were struggling clean in dirty. Yeah, the issue is we haven't seen it yet, so we don't know.
Yeah. So much of the season is still untold, and we've got to find out. We know the Aston works well in the pack racing. We've seen it. How well does it run in clean air? We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen what it's like when it's properly let loose to catch the Red Bulls. And I think Mercedes as well. Lewis was saying at the press conference yesterday, I don't think we're going to win the title this year. Red Bull are probably going to walk it unless there's a challenge for Ferrari or the Astons. We'll probably be there in the second half of the season, raising a few heads. But is that Hamilton's car, not Russell's? Because Russell was Mr. Consistent last year as well. A lot of top fives, a lot of points back for him. He finished ahead of Hamilton. So is that Russell better than Hamilton in this version of the car?
I think it's very hard to call. Obviously, statistically, yes, Russell did a lot better than Hamilton last year. But I think Hamilton definitely struggled. And people say, oh, he was running test setups. Yes, he was, but he wasn't running them every single race. He was genuinely off the pace. And that's because Hamilton, he's used to being in the quick car. He's not used to being in the car that's third quickest. He's used to being in the quickest car. Hence why he's struggling a lot in that car. He's not used to be having lots of troubles like he did last year. The car was really undrivable at many circuits.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we talk about Austria. That was being overtaken by Hasses. You know, that's one example. The car was just not there. So, Saudi Arabia last year, Hamilton qualified 16th. Imola finished 13th. You know, he struggled a lot, and Russell never really had many of those performances where he just had nothing to unleash. Hamilton did have those performances, so I don't know if there's underlying reasons or it's just the fact Hamilton just struggled heavily. And also, I'm very disturbed by this advert that's on right now.
I have to say as well, I mean, Hamilton testing setups, you mean Hamilton's getting parts before his number 2 teammate. Hamilton's getting the new parts, but he's testing the setups. That's why he's slow. No, it's nonsense. George Russell drove better than Hamilton last year, and he got a race win to show for it. I'm telling you now, George Russell. I'm not even going to say I'm biased because I really rate George Russell, and it pained me to see people saying, "Oh, Lance Stroll's better than George Russell" based on one poor race for Mercedes in Bahrain. It's lunacy, is what it is. I mean, George Russell is an incredible driver, and I think people forget in Formula One, you know, after seeing all of these statistics. Yes, Lewis Hamilton is probably the greatest of all time. Statistically, he is. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's always going to be at that peak, and there isn't going to be a guy who comes along and eventually beats him, which George Russell has done. At the end of the day, Lewis Hamilton at some point is going to fall off that peak, and you know, maybe we've hit that time. 2021 probably took a lot out of him. I mean, say what you want about Abu Dhabi, that would have taken a lot out of me. You know, to come back into a sport where that has happened to you, and I'm not passing comment on Abu Dhabi itself, but to come back into a sport where that has happened to you, it's going to be difficult to come back to your peak straight away.
I think you're right, and I think he said as well it's going to take us a time to get back in. And how much also is it the fact that Mercedes have lost key personnel? James Vowell's gone over. James Allison left, but I understand he's now returning to the team as well. Also, the fact that now Hamilton's lost Angela. She's
to
left.
me, I'm thinking nothing to do with Hamilton, but is there something going on in Mercedes that we don't know about? We've seen a lot of big people talk down and possibly look at leaving. So, you know, is there bigger issues with the car, with what the team's capable of this year that we don't yet know?
I wrote an article last week, actually, about Toto Wolff and how he needs to basically has a difficult situation ahead of him, because I honestly think that the way he's been acting has taken a lot out of that team. You know, they've gone from, to basically summarise what I wrote, they've gone from serial winners to basically in total ecstasy, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I think Toto Wolff has been handling himself quite appallingly in the media recently, and things like that, kicking up a fuss about Spygate, Crashgate,
Champgate,
Coscapgate. There we go.
There's so many gates, we lose track.
So many gates. Coscapgate. There we go. But I don't think a team can perform when you've got the team principal. Sorry, Richie. When you've got the team principal behaving like that, and I think it's now time, I think, for Toto Wolff to consider whether he needs to move on to bigger and greater things.
Oh well, I didn't expect that one to come out.
I didn't expect that. Toto Wolff should leave Mercedes. Wow. Okay, go on, Richie.
Eddie Jordan agrees with me, by the way.
We've heard the rumours of Hamilton. I still find that funny, how Leclerc and Hamilton had to actually address the rumours between them swapping Mercedes to Ferrari. It made me laugh because I just think it's just absurd. It's just not going to happen at all.
Oh, Gasly.
So it's quite funny they still had to address it.
The brakes are completely rubbish, says Gasly. Well, you don't need them around Jeddah.
Well, he showed us they're extra rubbish as he literally went flat out through turn 22 and 24.
Hamilton won't go to Ferrari purely because he doesn't fit their brand. I mean, he's far too outspoken. You take on Hamilton. This is why Mercedes have been so successful with him, because they took on Hamilton and they took on and gave Hamilton the freedom to say what he wants to, you know, not to make this about all the FIA free speech nonsense. But, you know, that's one of the reasons why he's been so successful. You don't do that at Ferrari because no driver is bigger than Ferrari. Hamilton is probably bigger than Mercedes in terms of how they've built their brand around him. You don't build a brand around a driver at Ferrari. Ferrari, you fit into line, and you're a PR person.
Yes, so I think same as Red Bull. At this point as well. You know, we see a lot of, for example, we see a lot of Max in Red Bull, but in Mercedes, it seems like they put Hamilton before the team. in some ways when it comes to media stuff.
As I would too, by the way.
Yes,
He is the greatest of all time. You can do things for people like... It's just like Fernando Alonso. You can do things for people like that unless you're Ferrari.
Of course, this is the scene of Lewis Hamilton's last ever win in Formula 1 at the moment. 18 months ago, of course, Saudi Arabia 2021 is his last win. That's a long time to go forward. And apparently, MotoGP has the first ever theme music and opening titles. I thought they had it. Yeah, go on.
Purple set to 1, yellow set to 2, up still by half a tenth. So the times are starting to tumble down a little bit more. Obviously, qualifying's held at night, isn't it, around
Yes,
here?
yeah.
So it's going to change. Practice 2, I believe, will be at the night setting, won't it, tonight?
Yeah, later on this evening.
And then practice 3 will be in the day, won't it?
Yeah, qualifying back to the night, yeah. Just to talk quickly about MotoGP, introducing MotoGP's first ever theme music and opening titles. Hollywood composer Marco Beltrami has composed a theme which will debut on Thursday at 11 o'clock Central European time. So there is going to be, a bit similar to what we have in Formula 1, there's going to be new opening themes. And there will be more things when the race starts as well. So, a bit like F1, we now got that coming forward. That's brilliant, because me and Megan always say, well, we go from being the pundit straight to the commentators with no actual separations. That's going to be great.
Also...
Deary me.
What are you saying?
Sorry, no, I shouldn't have reacted. There was a big crash in the IMSA
Oh.
I honestly, I just reacted like that without even realising.
It's better than what Ian Burge did in Bahrain. Go on.
I've got one question for Tom, and that is, have you ever considered starting a podcast when it comes to motorsport? Because I think you do really good.
I think you're right.
I do, actually, yes. And I've tried it a couple of times. I had one that was successful for a couple of weeks, and then the person I was doing it with, unfortunately, had other commitments. But no, I've been getting on to Josh for years. Like, let's do it. Let's do a weekly podcast or something.
Me and Josh just did it as well.
Yes.
Should be one.
Have a big podcast.
That'd be good.
It's basically just a practice session, isn't it? Let's get the podcast done. I've been thinking about
podcast.
Practice podcast. My guests for FP2 will be Josh T. He'll be joining us in the box. It was supposed to be Megan, but with everything going on, basically what's happening is at the moment, I've been exposed to somebody who's had COVID. So I've tested negative, and I feel fine. But Megan woke up with a sore throat. She's tested negative as well. So because me and her share a commentary box for these, we're basically just not having that done yet. Until tomorrow, we test negative tomorrow, and then we'll be fine. We'll test again on Sunday. Me and Megan are just keeping out of the commentary box together. So joining me, unless Megan joins FP2 via her laptop, which is possible. So at the moment, what's happening is it's me and Josh for practice 2. Me, Jen. Oh, hang on. Black and white flag for car 4 Norris Fain to follow race director's instructions.
Oh.
What is that about? For Lando Norris. Yeah. And then if I do get it, by the way, and I have symptoms, which hopefully I won't, and fingers crossed I won't, and I'm not at the moment. Tom will take over the race on Sunday if I'm too ill, so he'll lead the commentary. But go on, Richie.
I was gonna say, my end, I'm getting a lot of struggle with the live feed on Discord. It's lagging a lot.
Give me a sec.
I was looking at Nico Hulkenberg for about 20 seconds. Just sitting there.
Same. I'm glad it's not just on my end this week. I thought I was having shades of IndyCar. I didn't want to say anything because I thought I was refresh it.
How's that?
Josh has gone.
Better?
There we
go.
There we go.
Yeah. Also, Josh, I want to know, what did Ian Birch do in Bahrain?
Grosjean's crash.
Oh.
Yeah, that honestly, I saw the... Oh, and Stroll, way wide on.
Then.
Yeah, I thought he did. Stroll was very wide at turn 22, went straight on. I thought he almost hit the wall. He keeps going now. He would have hit the wall if they hadn't moved the barrier back, which is sort of a good thing now. So what do you... Bahrain 2020, the race commentary, I looked down, saw that there was a red flag because our timing screen was ahead. So I'm going, oh, that's a big one in the back because there's a car off the track sideways. And then all of a sudden, Grosjean hits the wall, cars explode, and Ian Birch's first reaction is to go, effing hell. And then oh, I'm sorry, immediately afterwards.
It's a fine reaction, to be fair.
Yeah.
I need to find that after this.
I was like, all right then. All right, we'll take it from there. Yeah, that was back in the basic days of the broadcast when we were still figuring out what to do.
It reminds me, Ian Birch, a lot of... Was it Mark Webber when he was at Baku, when he screamed when Hamilton went straight on?
Which is really weird. Jason, have you heard your dad swear before? Before that, how do I answer this without making him seem?
I still remember the...
A lot, I think is fair to say. But then again, it's normal, it's funny, go on.
It was some race last year, I believe, and it was qualifying. And I think Ian Birch was on the commentary box. So I'm sure something happened, and it was like Leclerc went pole, and he went, oh. And Leclerc's gone pole in the most monotone accent and tone ever. She's like, oh, Leclerc's gone quickest.
I literally... Abu Dhabi 2021, I'm literally, me and Megan are there, flying our arms around, punching the screen all this long, going like this. I'm giving it my all. And then I look back later, I look down at the end of it, and he's just sat there with his arms folded, watching the screen. I was like, do you ever have a reaction? It's very rare for him to have a big reaction like that, but when he does, it's very funny because it's very much all arms out. He was with us in Bahrain, but not in the commentary box as well, because there was another issue actually in that, because we couldn't have many people in the commentary box due to what was outside the commentary box. So we had him in the he was sat in his own chair in the front room. He was sat in his own chair in the front room, which is where he used to do the commentary from. So it was quite nice for that. And it worked well, actually. But he's not going to be with us this weekend in Saudi because there's a football match, Grimsby Town versus Brighton, which is 2
the FA Cup?
Yeah, quarterfinals.
Yes.
On Sunday, for the F2 race, when I'm in here, I will be wearing the Grimsby Town shirt, so I do apologise, and have it on one of the screens.
Now, Richie, I know you've got a distinct accent. You're from Birmingham, which I'm close by, localish. Football team taste.
Well, I'm not really a big follower of football, but I think in terms of just where I live, I support Walsall, obviously. Birmingham's actually no, the Baggies. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say because I'm actually sporting the football tops. I'm sporting the Aston Villa shirt today underneath my hoodie.
Yeah,
but,
Walsall and West Brom are probably the two, but I'm not really. I'm one of them. I kind of just look at the standings after a match. I don't get too interested by watching it, so I'll just have a little check-in every now and then.
I mean, it's hilarious. We've got commentators from all over the world, and we put the two people together who probably live within 30 minutes of each other.
You definitely don't sound like from Birmingham, that's for sure.
No, I managed to avoid the accent, which is thankfully. It's not Birmingham, it's sort of more Stafford way.
Yeah, but, he's nicked
a lot more posh.
He's nicked Anthony Davidson's accent anyway, as I keep pointing out week after week.
You know what? I can see that now.
Yeah, do you see what I mean?
Make a good point.
Yeah. Tom doesn't hear it.
Also, Hamilton, he's having so much trouble with that car.
Everyone's having trouble with that corner as well.
Yeah, Stroll, Verstappen, Alonso, Hamilton. We haven't seen much of Ferrari at all, have we, really, this second part of the session? Leclerc just coming out the final corner. And he's not said on that.
I don't have a distinct Birmingham accent or sort of West Midlands accent until I say the word tyre. Every time I say the word tyre, I just hear the most rum accent ever. It's the only word that gets me.
I had to go out with mine because Bath instead of Bath.
Oh, no, it's Bath.
My accent slips every now and then. You might notice it in the commentary. It's like a weird amalgamation, my accent as well.
Stroll up to 4.
Oh, yeah, great job there. 9 tenths of
So 1-2 Red Bull, 3-4 Aston. 5-6 Smart.
That's good. Well, that's a positive. But Ferrari 11th with Leclerc and 7th for Sainz. Right. Glad you mentioned Ferrari, by the way, Richie, because they've made several changes as well. We know that Leclerc has that 10-place grid penalty for a new control electronics system, but we've also had Carlos Sainz has taken a new internal combustion engine for this weekend. Leclerc has also got a new MGU-H as well, as they've described it as further precautions. Mercedes powered McLaren, so McLaren have replaced a host of powering components in Lando Norris's car. Red Bull, Sergio Perez has been given his second energy store and control electronics, along with a new gearbox case and casket, and a new gearbox drivelines, basically just a new gearbox. As it stands, Leclerc is the only driver who will take a grid drop in Jeddah for exceeding the maximum power usage devices. So everyone's got a few changes to components, probably just so that the others can go back to the factory, take a quick look around, make sure that it was okay after race 1, and then they'll be back in the car probably for Australia or back in.
I was just looking. I saw something on Twitter and I thought I'd check it out. Mercedes were summoned for an inaccurate self-scrutineering form.
Oh,
what
not
a surprise!
again.
It was Lewis Hamilton with jewellery, but no further action this time. It just says which have requested an exemption from compliance with the article on medical grounds, and it's fine. So I guarantee we'll see that every single week now.
Yeah.
Wearing of jewellery,
Can it be medical grounds if it's self-inflicted? I mean, he chose
No.
to wear the jewellery.
Exactly.
I'd understand
Yeah.
if it was, if it was something actually
Wait,
medical.
hang on. I just realised I must have not took into consideration for some reason the power unit, but Leclerc's on his 3rd one.
Yeah.
I know that
yeah.
makes sense now, but I just saw. Hang on, I thought it was 2, but how's he used 2 already?
Problem in Bahrain qualifying. They replaced it on Sunday morning, and then that failed in the race. So he's on to his 3rd.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I didn't think of it to be 3. I should have thought it, but I just thought 3. Hang on. But that really isn't good, is it? 2 components in 2 sessions.
Yeah, not great. And I'm surprised it's lasted this actually in the 3rd. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Leclerc with another penalty, even in Australia, if they're having problems with it.
The thing is,
Bit of
like,
smack there from Verstappen.
I know it's not always like, it's not always coincidence, but why is Carlos Sainz not getting these issues?
Yeah, it's like it's not affecting the second Ferrari.
It's
is
just
it?
I know I'm not saying that Ferrari doing it on purpose, of course, but I just think it's weird. Like, Carlos Sainz's car is perfectly fine, but
Yeah.
Leclerc's had 2 issues like that, and Carlos Sainz has had none. So at least we know it's not something that's affecting the whole team,
Yeah.
just Leclerc's side of things.
It's either random chance or it could also be something to do with driving style. I'm not sure quite what.
yeah.
I suppose maybe.
2 words for you: Matt Gallagher. Just
I've seen the videos on Twitter.
External
I'm not
fact.
happy.
Yeah. External Matt Gallagher. Verstappen has gone fastest. The fastest time of the weekend of 1:29.617. The first one into the 1:29s. And despite the fact he's got a stomach upset, Verstappen's fastest as well. No change there then.
What a surprise! What a surprise!
What a useful hour that was.
Well,
I'm
useful
enjoying it.
for the likes of Mercedes because they've, I think, started to annihilate some of their troubles here at the end. But yet again, I only noticed Hamilton having the issues. Russell had hardly any. So, does it come down to the driver?
Oh, that's a good point.
I know it's a bold thing to say, and people will hate me because I'm a Max fan, but genuinely, is this... Oh, and replay again.
Oh, is he going to
Hamilton off the track.
again?
So, is it something to do with Hamilton himself?
Just having the
Because
issues.
it's possible.
I
I'm
would-
not saying that he's bad, but... Oh, yellow flag.
Where's
Virtual save.
virtual-
Oh, well, it's
is this
just
a
the end.
test?
I presume it's for just the testing, yeah.
Yellow
it's nothing-
sector 18 and 19, and the virtual safety car's been deployed.
Piastri.
Yeah, Oscar Piastri stopped on the track, and
wow.
he's passed the control line. So, virtual safety car's deployed after the checkered. I can't.
One thing to notice,
Yeah, go on.
McLaren, 14th and 20th.
I'm having a look at
I know it's
Piastri's
only
on.
practice 1, but still.
No, Piastri's continued on. Yeah, Piastri's done his starts. It's not him. I'm trying to have a look at the onboards
Oh, okay.
to see who it is. Sector 18 on the track. So
There's no one there apart from Perez.
no.
So it must be a test
Has to be.
for the starting procedures. Yeah, that's an odd one.
Bizarre. Never
Yeah,
seen that
there's Sainz, Albon. I believe that's Bottas.
before. Yeah, they're all doing their practice starts, and away we go. But the virtual safety car has come out. I was just getting ready with the results screen because I forgot that's the one I haven't actually set up for this weekend as well, which was a bit silly
So-
for me. Go on.
It's practice 1, but Tom and Josh, what's your biggest things to take away from this session?
Red Bull are really quick once again, and Aston are going to be the next best thing. What about you?
Oh, that Fernando Alonso is definitely going to be fighting for a championship this year.
Oh, I can hear the sarcasm.
I had to do that on purpose.
I'm actually feeling a bit dizzy because I've been stood in front of a heater. So if I do, that's not really great, is it? So I need to get some food in me. I've been rushing around that much this morning. I haven't actually had breakfast.
Also,
Come on, stand by for Sunday, not this afternoon.
Yeah, you
When
might have to, mate. You might have to.
when is F2 qualifying? Because I want to watch it, but I don't know what time it was. Is it already happened?
About 15 minutes.
Oh, so it was. Oh, that's good then. So I can watch that. Because I thought, hang on, was it before practice? But no, it was F2 practice before F1 practice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Also,
There's WEC, of course, hour and a half.
To people that are interested in Formula 1 22, I'm going to leak you the challengers lineup for the tracks, which is Bahrain, Australia, Imola, Britain, Spain, and Spa. You didn't hear that from me. I'm not going to say where I got it from, but that's rumoured to be it, and the start date is meant to be on May the 2nd, and it ends on June the 8th, possibly.
Great, I'll download my cheats for that day then.
Well, you're probably not going to get caught, to be fair.
Here's the results then for the first practice session for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen tops the session with Sergio Perez second. Fernando Alonso goes into third position. Lance Stroll fourth, with George Russell fifth. Lewis Hamilton sixth. Carlos Sainz seventh. Pierre Gasly eighth. Alexander Albon is ninth. And Yuki Tsunoda rounds out the top 10. Charles Leclerc is 11th, Esteban Ocon 12th, Nick de Vries 13th, Oscar Piastri 14th, Nico Hülkenberg 15th, Kevin Magnussen is 16th, Logan Sargent 17th, Valtteri Bottas 18th, Zhou Guanyu 19th, and Lando Norris is P20 on the board. Okay, guys, closing thoughts from this first session as the virtual safety car has now been brought in. Go on.
I've got three things. First of all, Red Bull and Aston Martin looking as the two quickest. Secondly, Mercedes having lots of troubles. And thirdly, what is up with McLaren?
That's a good one. Tom?
What was the question, sorry?
Closing thoughts for the first practice.
I enjoyed it. I'm sorry, I'm not with it today. No, I enjoyed it. Very fun. I'm excited for this race. To be honest with you, it's sort of... It's been the one race I haven't really been focused on this weekend because obviously of all the Sebring stuff and everything that's happening with my karting and stuff. But see the cars on track. I think it's gonna be an exciting race.
A reserve-leaved commentator, everybody. Not with it. Neither am I, as I come through. Okay, thanks very much to you, Tom. Thanks very much, Richie. We'll see you, Richie, for qualifying. Tom, you've got a busy weekend, but don't take this the wrong way, mate, but I hope I don't see you Sunday.
Yes.
Because that means something's gone really wrong. Thanks to you, Tom. Josh, you're with me in the afternoon session as well. And Rich, if you're around, you can drop in if you like, mate, as well. But we'll be back as well. And Synth will be with us in the F2 races as well. And Rich is in for the feature on that as well. First session ended then. It's Max Verstappen, fastest once again. Despite the tummy bug, he's still top here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.